I'm James McArdle, I'm an actor and I play Peter Gynt. Is this wee bit coming down again? No, it's good. Oh, good. I wouldn't say that I'm method. I've got a kind of toolbox that I need to use depending on the play. I try and choose plays and choose parts that I am meeting somewhere in the middle, and I kind of go, I think I know how to play that part right now. So in a way, maybe I am the most method actor that I've ever known. When I'm approaching a play, any play, but especially an evening like Peter Gynt, which is so sprawling in its nature, I have to kind of compartmentalise the scenes and give myself time. So, for example, given the nature of Peter Gynt and how it flips tonally and flips thematically and sort of stylistically within heartbeats, people who study acting will maybe have learned it as units or units of action, which is an old Stanislavski term. I suppose that is what I'm doing, but for me, I don't really think in those terms. It's my own thing. I go, right, that's that section of the play, that's that section of the play, and that's that section of the play. And that helps me understand where I need to be emotionally. When you're the actor, especially on stage, what's different from being an actor on film or television is you are the editor of the evening. Going through the story before I go on stage is a really good way for me to remind myself what's needed of me at what point of the evening, and to not go off course and to not do things different. You can do things different within a spectrum. Your loyalty is to the evening, your loyalty is to the story before it's to yourself or how you feel. Yeah, sorry, am I shuffling? I'm going to be there by the end. The National have been key for me in my development as an actor, finding out how to get better and understanding my craft more and sort of working up those muscles. Plays like Platonov and Peter Gynt have a kind of forward propulsion in the rhythm and in the play that don't allow for actors to become indulgent. The minute there's an unwanted pause or a sort of breath that isn't needed, the whole play comes crashing down. Platonov, that was something completely different. I had to learn how to galvanise an audience behind you in a way that encouraged them to come with you, which is a sort of skill separate from just being able to act. And then when I came to Angels in America, near enough 8 hours of duologues. It's like a sports game that you literally had to keep the ball in the air for each other, to kind of pass the scene on. That skill and that craft, that only really comes from doing it, understanding, becoming aware of what kills an evening and what moves a story forward. When I was doing Angels in America, I have this 23-minute monologue.
I mean, it's the really hard thing about being left in this country. The American left can't help but trip over these petrified little fetishes. Freedom, that's the worst.
And I never ever felt nervous doing it. It felt very natural to me. And then suddenly, with a quarter to go, I had so much fear around this monologue. I thought I was going to forget my lines. I thought I was going to dry. I remember it was Susan Brown told me you just have to go sort of back to basics, and when you're at drama school, or the Stanislavski technique called the fourth wall, where you sort of put up an imaginary fourth wall, which you should be doing anyway. I've always remember someone telling me you have to know your lines well enough that you can think them. It's not just sort of memorising, it's actually understanding characters' intentions, understanding the story, understanding the writer's intentions that help solidify what you say when. So in a weird way, the lines are obvious. If you've done enough work, or you've done enough work on the character or the play, or you understand the story well enough, and then the chances are what you think you should say is roughly what's been written down, you know.
And underneath all the tolerance is intense, passionate hatred.
Then when it came to Peter Gynt, it sort of encompassed all those skills I'd been learning in the other plays, and I do feel that my previous performances at the National have been a kind of training to try and attempt to play Peter Gynt. To play this part requires you to age the span of a man's entire life, but also requires various things. You have to be the character inside the story, and there's so much direct address to the audience. You have to learn how to become sort of MC for the evening. You've got to have a connection with the audience when it's required, and then shut off from them and be in the story. In one of the most emotional scenes in Peter Gynt is almost a sort of direct parallel to my own life, and I absolutely imagine, even though I'm with an actor on stage, I'm with Anne-Louise Ross on stage, and we have to have a connection of actual two people on an actual stage, understanding how to not let the scene die, look after each other, listen to each other, look into each other's eyes. But on another level, I'm using things that are happening in my own life, and I'm personalising the character that David has written, there might not be times where the stimulus to elicit emotion has the same effect every night, or that you can go there every night. That means you've got to pretend. That means you've got to make it up and make it look like you're doing it, you know that. And I don't shirk away from that or say that that's somehow not acting. It's just for me personally, I do use real things, and sometimes those things fade away and sometimes they come back stronger, and that somehow is no less authentic. On stage and in life, try and not judge yourself. And it's sort of impossible to do, but it's an ideal always worth striving for. And that's always stuck with me, especially on stage when you are understanding your story, the character story, and you've done the work and you know what you're doing, or you know how you've chosen to express this character, and you've agreed it with the director and everyone else in the room. Once you've got there, really try and not judge yourself, and the more you can kind of keep focused and trust that what you've done, for better or for worse, is your expression of this part, or is your expression of this story. That's to be protected fiercely, I think.